everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bailey and today's video has been a video that has been highly requested. Ever since I posted my service dog day in the life kind of videos, I have one where I take Moose, my service dog, to college with me, and then I have another one where I ran errands and we went to different stores like retail stores and a grocery store, and you guys requested that I talk about the public access process for training your service dog to go into stores and more challenging stores like a grocery store. So that is today's video. I really hope this is helpful, especially to all of my owner trainers out there. I was an owner trainer, and when I was training Moose to be a service dog, I met with a trainer and we did private lessons twice a month, which means 2 hours out of a whole month we had private lessons, which that was because that's all I could afford, honestly. So in that hour twice a month she would show us, you know, bam bam bam, all these different things. We would work on it for 2 weeks and then evaluate from there, grow on those skills. So if you are an owner trainer, if you cannot afford a program or private lessons twice a week, I got you. I understand, I've been there, but I hope this is helpful. This is just going to be a general process of public access training your service dog. Everyone does it a little differently, but I feel like this is the path that most service dogs in training take. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and without further ado, let's get into the video. So there are a few things your service dog should know or be familiar with before you even start public access training. I cannot stress how important the basics are, how foundational they are to service dog skills. A lot of skills that a service dog does builds on basic commands and behaviors and skills. So I could probably go into a whole rant about that, but I won't. But some basic commands that your service dog should know is sit, lay down, and probably stay. And these can help you just fall back on default behaviors and build confidence in your dog. Say the training session isn't going how you thought it would, or yeah, it's just not going well. Well, we want to keep these training sessions as positive as possible, so ask your dog to sit and lay down and just what it already knows. Say you're in Home Depot, find yourself a clear aisle and just work on basic commands in that aisle. Sit, lay down, stay, maybe stay in that aisle and just do laps around it. Walk a little bit, ask them to sit, lay down, stay. And this helps build confidence in your dog because it's doing something in a new environment that it already knows. The next thing that is important for your dog to be familiar with, this doesn't have to be perfect, but having a good heel. Like I said, this does not have to be perfect, but if they are most of the time by your side and engaging with you, then I personally would feel comfortable taking them into a store and start public access training. It would be very difficult to teach public access training if your dog does not know heel and maybe they're pulling ahead the whole time, and it's just really difficult for you and for the dog to teach like two things at once. So make sure your dog has a good heel, and like I said, most of the time they're at your side and engaging with you. And then this third thing is not a must, but it would be helpful with public access training, and that is if your dog knows a task. That way you can start teaching them to do that task anywhere, which is what we eventually want to work on. So to say you've been working on deep pressure therapy at home and your dog is pretty good at it, why not practice in Home Depot? And again, that just shows them to do that command no matter where they are, which is where we want to eventually get our dogs. And I would say probably just do one task at a time, like introducing them in public so your dog does not get overwhelmed. But I probably should have said this at the beginning, but you and your trainer know what's best for your dog, so always consider that. So once your service dog in training knows or is familiar with those things, let's get into what I call level 1 of public access training, and that is outdoor venues. I think this is a perfect place to start public access training because it is very mistake friendly, and it's a good place to gauge where your service dog is at. And for some ideas on where you can go to practice, I would start with your front yard. I think that is a great place to start. There is minimal distractions to where your dog won't get overwhelmed, you know, with the neighbors walking by, neighbors walking their dogs, cars passing by, but it isn't high traffic, depending on your neighborhood, I guess I should say. You can also go to parks. That's another great place that has different variety than your front yard. If you're new here, I actually got Moose when I lived in New York City, so I started taking him to Central Park. I found a bench, just sat there and asked him to lay down, and as people passed by, I rewarded him. So I think parks are a great place to start, and that's actually where I started training Moose, with public access training and just being calm around different distractions. You could also try outdoor dining spaces that might be a little more advanced depending on your dog, just because there is food and people, I guess, coming closer to you than they would at a park. And then you can also try, again, this depends on where you live, but different farms and ranches, because of the different animals. Of course, be careful, but just different smells. We want to try to expose our service dogs appropriately to as many things as possible, make them bulletproof. So I would say you're ready to move on to the next level if your dog is pretty good around distractions. Again, this does not have to be perfect. We all have our good days, we all have our off days as far as training. So if the majority of your time your service dog in training is engaging with you and is calm around people passing by, vehicles, different wheeled things, just anything that you've exposed your dog to outside, then I would say they are ready for the next level. Which brings us to level 2, which is pet-friendly stores. So this is very nerve-wracking, bringing your service dog in training into a store. At least I was very nervous, and I was like, oh my gosh, what if they kick me out? So going into a place where pets, which have varying levels of training, are welcomed, kind of eases the pressure of, oh my gosh, my dog has to act a certain way. I don't know if this is anyone else, but I was very nervous to start public access training, so I did start with pet-friendly places. You always want to check beforehand to see if the store is pet-friendly, or different stores are pet-friendly in different parts of the US. So Lowe's, Home Depot, I know some of them are, some of them aren't, so just check. You can go into your feed stores, those are usually pet friendly. You can try Petco and PetSmart, like pet stores. For me personally, I did not take Moose into pet stores in this level because they were way too overwhelming with all the smells of dogs. He would not focus on me, so I moved that to a more challenging level. Like I said, this is kind of just a basic guideline to move your dog along through starting at the very basics of public access training to more complicated situations that you would find yourself in public access training. So do what fits your dog. But yeah, pet stores are very pet friendly and a good place to train. And then I know some Marshalls are, some aren't. Again, just check. Those are some ideas. You could probably also Google pet friendly places in my area, and I'm sure there will be a list just to help you get some ideas. You and your service dog are most likely to move on to the next level if there is a consistent focused heel in and crossing aisles. That was kind of an unexpected challenge for Moose and I, was his focus when crossing aisles. There was just sometimes so much going on, he would not be focused and we would lose our heel. So that was something unexpected that I had to really work on with him. I would also say if your dog is not interacting with merchandise, I think drive-by sniffs are okay as far as training. Take that as you will, but we do not want to see our dogs pulling stuff off of shelves and then want to move it on to like more non-pet friendly places. So also entering and exiting a store calmly is a good indicator. The sliding doors might be, at least for Moose, is very exciting for him, so we really worked on that. And then also just ignoring most distractions. And then I would say for each level, it just really depends on your dog's engagement with you. I feel like engagement is like the highest indicator if your dog is ready for something more challenging, so take that into consideration. So the last two levels are non-pet friendly stores, but I divided into retail and then more food related stores. So level 3 for me and what I did with Moose was non-pet friendly retail stores. So CVS, Walmart, Target, pretty much like any clothing store is non-pet friendly. So that's what I did, going to a mall or an outlet mall. I think it's a really good idea to get a different variety of stores, but also having the comfort of being outside with your dog too. So I would definitely try that out. And then I would say you're ready to move on to the next level, kind of with the same indicators as the last one. So being in a heel, exiting, entering the store calmly, not interacting with the merchandise, and just really engaged and focused on you. They're able to perform basic commands, and you've probably started incorporating a task or two, and they are reliable in doing that when asked. So then you're most likely ready to move on to level 4, which I kind of already explained was non-pet friendly food environments, so grocery stores and restaurants. So a good middle ground, if you're kind of unsure if your dog is ready for food related places, is to go into department stores like Walmart and Target and walk through their grocery sections. I think that's a great middle ground place to start before you go to a restaurant maybe. So maybe start there and gauge your service dog, see how they interact before just walking into just a grocery store, maybe like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, stuff like that. And then we want to expose our dogs to all sorts of food related environments. So kind of like I said, grocery stores that are strictly just food, Costco, Sam's, fast food places, sit down restaurants, anything we can expose our dog to food related. And then some things that we're looking for and working on in this level is ignoring food. Obviously that's like the biggest thing that we are working on in this section. And then also not picking up food off the ground, whether you're in a grocery store and something busted and there's chips in the aisle, someone dropped food, you're sitting at a dining table and something's dropped off the table, that your dog isn't like Hungry Hippo and snatching it up the first chance that they get. That does take some serious training and that might be difficult. So that's what we're working on in this level, to really bulletproof our service dogs and get them to fully trained as far as public access goes. Oh, I almost forgot. And another thing would be to settling for the duration of a meal. That is also another indicator. We do not want our dogs under a table, getting up, sitting down. It just disrupts your meal and not what we're about when in a food environment. So those are the 4 levels that I worked through when public access training my service dog Moose. Again, feel free to switch around the categories, put certain stores into more challenging, less challenging. You and your trainer know your dog, so always consider that. And some other tips that I can think about giving you guys would be to keep the training sessions short, especially at the beginning. I have definitely done training sessions that were 5, maybe 10 minutes long. Like I have driven to Target, walked around maybe once and left, and we left on a positive note, and I feel like that was very progressive in Moose's training. We do not want to burn out our service dogs, we do not want to overwhelm them, and we just always want to leave these training sessions on positive notes. So if that means doing short training sessions, then so be it. And the last thing I'll say about public access training is to be patient. I know how exciting it is, like you work so hard, and it's just a big milestone, I feel like, in service dog training to begin public access training. But do not push your dog more than their skill level. This just creates room for more mistakes. And no dog is perfect, I'm not saying that, but I'm just talking about in general behaviors. It's always good to solidify a level before moving on to the next one. I promise you, taking your time and being patient with your service dog will pay off in the long run, instead of rushing your dog through the different levels and you're in a grocery store and wondering why your service dog is not tasking for you, not engaged with you, eating stuff off the floor, and you're frustrated, maybe they're frustrated or just confused. And it's just, patience is hard. I am not perfect. I definitely have rushed Moose and just have had to reevaluate in our training process, take a step back and okay, let's just go back to some basics, and then we've eventually gotten there. So yeah, that was the public access training process in general. I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. Any other tips, like, let's help each other, especially our other fellow owner trainers who are going through this alone. Maybe leave some tips down below of what was helpful for you, if you did anything differently than what I explained in this video today. Like I said, let's just help each other. And thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is probably a longer chatty sit down video, so thank you for staying to the end, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye friends.